Hi, this is Arun Gupta. I'm a principal open source technologies at Amazon. Today I will show you how easy it is to get started with Amazon EKS or Amazon Elastic Container Service for Kubernetes. EKS provides you a managed control plane on AWS. So you can go to aws.amazon.com/EKS to get more details about it. Now you can go to start using Amazon EKS and it provides you a detailed getting started guide. It tells you exactly what needs to be done and how you can create an EKS cluster. You can also use eksctl, that is a CLI built by one of our partners, Weaveworks. And just like there is kubectl for Kubernetes clusters, there is eksctl that allows you to create those EKS clusters very easily. And so for today's demo purpose, that is a CLI that we're going to be using. So let's get started. So here I am in my terminal, and it says eksctl is the API. So I'm going to say eksctl create cluster. I'm going to give cluster a name. I need 4 nodes in the cluster, and I'm specifying the region. In this case, it's US East 1. So the command is very simple. I just give the command. eksctl API goes behind the scene and starts doing everything that is needed to be done. That is provisioning the control plane for me, then spinning out the worker nodes. And I can give a worker node type here or instance type, but I don't need to because there are reasonable defaults available. And then finally, it attaches those worker nodes to the control plane. All your settings for VPC, security group, auto scaling group, all the standard AWS best practices are very well covered as part of this eksctl API. So it's very easy to get started. It takes a few minutes, so we'll wait. It takes a few minutes for the EKS control plane to be provisioned, and the movement to this step indicates that the control plane has been provisioned. So let's go to our browser, and here I am in the console. This is in the Northern Virginia region. So let's refresh this page here. And if I go to clusters, it's showing me my EKS cluster, which is an active cluster, and version is 1.10. So that's pretty cool. That means the control plane has been provisioned, and now the worker nodes are going to get created, and they will be attached to this control plane as well. Now I can go to CloudFormation. I can see the control plane CloudFormation stack has been completed. I can select this particular stack now because that's where the create is in progress, and I can look at the events, and then it will show me what's really going on behind the scenes. In between, if we want to, we can actually go to EC2 and we can see if the instances has been provisioned yet. So apparently not. So once the instances are provisioned, then they are connected to the control plane as well. So let's go back to our CloudFormation then. And look at the events again. So now it's creating the auto scaling group. And you can go to the bottom to see what's really happening essentially. So it's created a security group, created the security group ingress, then the role, then the policy, then the instance profile, the launch configuration, auto scaling group, and soon it'll get to the point where it'll start creating instances in this auto scaling group. And here it says create complete. So let's refresh this over here. We can see the node group creation has been complete. So now if I go back to my EC2 instance here, I can see my 4 instances are running, and I can expand to see it here. And as you can see, by default it picks up M5 large instances. They're all running, they're getting initialized. But now if I go back to my terminal, you can see this has already been created. Now one of the tools that is needed for EKS cluster to work is you need AWS IAM Authenticator. So what we're going to do is we're going to set that as part of the path. So I'm going to say export path and include tools EKS in the path. Now when I say AWS IAM Authenticator, this tool is found correctly. Okay, so it says cluster should be functional despite missing client binaries, and now we have included the client binaries. So now if I say kubectl get nodes, is still looking for Heptio Authenticator AWS. So for now, what we can do is we can change AWS IAM Authenticator to tools EKS Heptio Authenticator dash AWS. Alternatively, we could also go into the kubeconfig file and change the binary that it's trying to spawn as well. So let's change this for convenience. And if I say kubectl get nodes, in the kubeconfig, it is configured to invoke this binary, this Heptio Authenticator AWS, which is now renamed to IAM Authenticator AWS, or AWS IAM Authenticator, will go talk to AWS, pass the IAM credentials, then get the STS token, and then say, okay, do you have the ability to authenticate with the Kubernetes cluster? And that's how I'm seeing my nodes over here. So as you see, it's pretty straightforward. To get started with Amazon EKS, just use eksctl. Takes a few minutes to provision the control plane, then creates all the the worker nodes for you, attaches those worker nodes to your control plane, and literally with a very simple command, you can fire up over here. So now if you can say eksctl version, we are using version 0.1.2. You can also say, give me more help about the tool. Of course, create, delete, get, help, utils, version are there. You can say eksctl get cluster, and I can say my EKS, and I can say region as well. So it tells you if the cluster exists in that particular region. It gives you a little bit more detail about it as well. This EKS cutl utils is very helpful too. By default, it writes the kubeconfig into the default location, but for some reason, if you want to write it in a different location, this actually allows you to write the kubeconfig as well in a different location as well. And it can also give you more detail about your cluster, how the cluster was created. So that's pretty cool. Once again, very easy to get started with Amazon EKS using eksctl. Back here in my console, I'm looking at EKS now, and this is where my cluster is being shown. Thank you. Hopefully you will enjoy this.